Welcome to Once Upon English.
Have you ever wondered how a little girl from the streets of the Bronx could grow up to become one of the most powerful entertainers in the world? How one woman could conquer music, film, fashion, and business, and still be dancing in stilettos while the world watches in awe? This is not just the story of Jennifer Lopez. This is the story of resilience, of ambition that refuses to shrink, of failures that didn't break her, but built her, of a woman who dared to be more than a dancer, more than a singer, more than an actress. She became a global icon. In this journey, you'll walk with her through crowded subway stations of New York City, onto shining Hollywood stages, and deep into moments of heartbreak and triumph. You'll see how a girl who was once told you'll never make it became one of the most influential women in the history of pop culture. So sit back, open your heart, and prepare to discover not just a celebrity, but a force of nature. This is the untold, unfiltered, and unforgettable life story of Jennifer Lopez. The Bronx Girl with Big Dreams. Jennifer Lynn Lopez was born on July 24, 1969, in the Bronx, New York City. The neighborhood where she grew up wasn't known for fame or glamour. It was known for hard work, immigrant families, and dreams that often faded into reality. But not Jennifer's dreams. Hers were loud, colorful, and relentless. She was the middle child of 3 daughters. Her parents, David and Guadalupe Lopez, were both of Puerto Rican descent. David worked nights at an insurance company, while Guadalupe was a homemaker and later a Tupperware salesperson. They weren't rich, but they were determined to give their daughters discipline, education, and faith. Jennifer's home was filled with Latin music, family dinners, and strict rules. But behind that normal life, something burned brightly in her young heart. The need to perform. She loved to sing, she loved to dance, and she loved to be seen. At the age of 5, Jennifer was already taking singing and dancing lessons. While other kids played with dolls, she practiced moves in front of the mirror, pretending she was already on stage. But the Bronx was tough. The streets were filled with distractions, danger, and kids who didn't always make it. Jennifer knew she had to fight harder, dream bigger, and never lose her focus. Her parents didn't fully support her passion for performing, at least not at first. They wanted her to get a safe job, maybe as a lawyer or a teacher. But Jennifer had a different plan. She attended Catholic schools and was a good student, but her mind was always dancing ahead, toward lights, music, and fame. At Preston High School, she was known as a talented athlete and a natural performer. She ran track. She played softball. But nothing excited her like being on stage. After high school, Jennifer made a bold decision. She enrolled in Baruch College in Manhattan to study business. But after just 1 semester, she dropped out. Why? Because her heart didn't belong in a lecture hall. It belonged in a dance studio. That decision led to a massive argument with her parents, especially her mother. In fact, the tension became so bad that Jennifer moved out. At just 18 years old, she was living on her own, sleeping on a couch in a dance studio, chasing something that still seemed impossible. But Jennifer Lopez never chased anything halfway. She trained as a dancer day and night. She auditioned for any role she could get: backup dancer, extra in a music video, a spot in a chorus line. And finally, in 1991, after countless rejections, she landed her first major break: a spot as a fly girl dancer on the TV show In Living Color. That role changed everything. Suddenly, Jennifer was on national television. People noticed her moves, her energy, her presence. She wasn't just a dancer anymore, she was a star in the making. But this was only the beginning. Jennifer Lopez was just getting started. The world had no idea what was coming next. From dancing queen to leading lady, after her big break on In Living Color, Jennifer Lopez knew she couldn't stop. While many fly girls were happy to stay dancers, Jennifer had a bigger goal. She wanted to act. She started taking acting lessons while still dancing on the show. She studied scripts, worked on her voice, and even practiced facial expressions in the mirror. She knew that Hollywood wouldn't just hand her a lead role. She had to earn it. In the early 1990s, Jennifer began landing small roles in television shows and films. They weren't glamorous and they didn't pay much, but each part taught her something new. She appeared in shows like South Central, Hotel Malibu, and Second Chances. Sometimes the roles were short, sometimes they were background characters, but for Jennifer, they were stepping stones. Her big breakthrough came in 1995 when she starred in My Family, a film about a Mexican-American family in East Los Angeles. Jennifer played the younger version of the mother character, and though it was a small role, her performance caught the attention of Hollywood insiders. Critics began asking, "Who is that girl?" Then came the audition that would change her life forever. In 1996, a biopic was being planned about the life of Selena Quintanilla Perez, the beloved Tejano singer who had been tragically killed at age 23. The film would tell the story of Selena's rise to fame and her heartbreaking death. It was a big project, and the role of Selena would be the lead. Hundreds of actresses auditioned. Most of them were more famous than Jennifer. Many were singers. Some had bigger resumes. But Jennifer had something different: heart. She studied Selena's life deeply. She watched her concerts, memorized her gestures, and tried to capture not just the voice, but the soul of the young star. When she walked into the audition room, she wasn't Jennifer Lopez anymore. She was Selena. The producers were stunned. Jennifer didn't just act, she became the role. In 1997, the film Selena was released. It was a massive hit. Critics praised Jennifer's performance. Audiences wept. And Jennifer Lopez, the dancer from the Bronx, was now a leading lady in Hollywood. She became the first Latina actress to earn over $1 million for a film role. That paycheck was more than just money. It was history. But Jennifer didn't stop there. After Selena, she took on a string of films that proved her range. She starred in Anaconda alongside Ice Cube and Jon Voight. She appeared in Out of Sight with George Clooney. Each movie showed a different side of her: fearless, smart, sexy, tough. By the end of the 1990s, Jennifer Lopez wasn't just a dancer or an actress. She was a movie star. And yet she was still hungry for more. There was one part of her soul she hadn't shared with the world yet. Something powerful, something rhythmic, something Latin. It was time to let the world hear her voice. When acting meets rhythm, the birth of J.Lo. By the late 1990s, Jennifer Lopez had already made history in Hollywood. She was beautiful, talented, and respected, but something inside her still felt unfinished. Acting was powerful, but music was her heartbeat. She had grown up listening to Latin legends like Celia Cruz and Mark Anthony. She knew salsa, merengue, and hip hop like the back of her hand. But now she wanted to bring that rhythm to the world, not as a dancer behind the scenes, but as a pop star front and center. People doubted her. "You're already an actress," they said. "Why risk everything with a music career?" But Jennifer didn't care about the doubts. She was used to people saying, "You can't." And every time she had turned it into a "watch me." In 1999, she released her debut single, "If You Had My Love." It was an instant hit. The music video featured Jennifer looking stunning, dancing through digital screens like a futuristic goddess. Fans couldn't get enough. The song soared to number one on the Billboard Hot 100, and suddenly, Jennifer Lopez wasn't just a movie star. She was a pop sensation. Her first album, On the Six, dropped that same year. The title was a tribute to the number 6 subway line in New York City, the very train she had taken from the Bronx to Manhattan, chasing her dreams as a teenager. The album was a mix of R&B, Latin, pop, and dance beats. It included hits like "If You Had My Love," "Waiting for Tonight," "Let's Get Loud." "Know Me Ames," a duet with Mark Anthony. Each song revealed a different side of Jennifer. She wasn't just singing, she was telling her story. "Let's Get Loud" became a party anthem. "Waiting for Tonight" became a dance floor classic. "Know Me Ames" touched hearts across Latin America. And just like that, Jennifer Lopez became the first woman in history to have a number 1 hit. One movie, The Wedding Planner, and a number 1 album, J.Lo, in the same week. It had never been done before. It hasn't been done since. She had just rewritten the rules. But success came at a price. Fame brought pressure, scrutiny, and media chaos. Paparazzi followed her every move. Tabloids printed her personal life like gossip candy. Suddenly, Jennifer's love life became public property. But instead of hiding, she leaned in. She embraced her fame. She took control of her image, and with that power, she created something even bigger, a brand. She wasn't just Jennifer Lopez anymore, she was J.Lo, a nickname born from the streets, a symbol of Latina pride, a brand that stood for strength, style, and swagger. And J.Lo was just getting started. Love, lights, and the rise of a brand. As the 2000s began, J.Lo was everywhere. You couldn't walk down the street without hearing her music. You couldn't watch TV without seeing her in a commercial, red carpet, or interview. She had become more than an entertainer. She was a cultural force. Her second album, simply titled J.Lo, exploded in popularity, with hits like "Love Don't Cost a Thing," "I'm Real," "Ain't It Funny," "Play." She delivered not just songs, but attitude. She was confident, sexy, fearless, and millions of women looked at her and thought, if she can do it, maybe I can too. But behind the glamour and glitz, life wasn't always easy. Her relationship with rapper and producer Sean Diddy Combs had become public, and then complicated. The two were involved in a controversial nightclub shooting incident in New York City in 1999, which led to police investigations and heavy media coverage. Though Jennifer was never charged with anything, the incident shook her. She ended the relationship, but as always, she turned pain into power. In 2001, she launched her own fashion line,
J.Lo,
by Jennifer Lopez. It wasn't just another celebrity brand. It was one of the first clothing lines that celebrated curves and Latina beauty in mainstream American fashion. She said, "I wanted girls who looked like me to feel beautiful in what they wore." That same year, she starred in The Wedding Planner opposite Matthew McConaughey. The film was a box office hit, and the timing was historic. Her album J.Lo and her movie The Wedding Planner were number one at the same time. It had never happened before. She had officially made history, and while the world celebrated her, J.Lo kept building. Her next relationship with Chris Judd, a backup dancer, led to a short-lived marriage. Then came another bold transformation. In 2002, she released her third album, This Is Me, then dedicated to her new love, Ben Affleck. Yes, that Ben Affleck. Their relationship became one of the most talked about celebrity romances of the decade. The media called them Benifer, and they were followed everywhere. From movie premieres to vacations, their every move was photographed, analyzed, and often criticized. Jennifer didn't just handle it, she sang about it. This Is Me then was personal, romantic, and full of vulnerability. Songs like Jenny from the Block, All I Have, Baby, I Love You, told the world that she hadn't changed. She was still that girl from the Bronx, despite the diamonds and limos. But the pressure got too high. In 2004, just days before their planned wedding, Benifer broke up. The media went wild. The public was stunned. Jennifer was heartbroken, but never defeated. Instead of disappearing, she went back to work. She made movies, she wrote songs, and in 2004, she shocked the world again, this time by marrying Latin music legend Marc Anthony. Their chemistry was electric, on stage and off. They recorded music together, they toured together, and in 2008, they welcomed twins, Max and Emmy. It was a new chapter, a softer chapter, a chapter filled with family, legacy, and roots. But even as she became a mother, she didn't slow down. Because J.Lo wasn't just a pop star or a movie actress anymore. She had become a business empire. The mother, the mogul, and the comeback queen. Becoming a mother changed Jennifer Lopez in ways even she hadn't expected. When Max and Emmy were born in 2008, Jennifer was already one of the most recognized women on earth. But in that hospital room with her newborn twins in her arms, she wasn't J.Lo. She was just mom. She said later in interviews that motherhood grounded her. It gave her a new purpose, a deeper kind of love, and a fierce desire to protect not just her children, but her legacy. At the same time, she faced one of the biggest risks of her life, slowing down. In an industry where youth and speed dominate, taking time off to raise a family could mean the end of a career. But Jennifer wasn't afraid. She knew that her brand wasn't just about her body or voice, it was about her mindset. And during those quieter years, she built. She expanded her fashion lines. She created a new fragrance collection that would become one of the top-selling celebrity perfumes in history. She produced television shows and films behind the scenes. And in 2010, she made her television comeback in a way no one expected. She became a judge on American Idol. At first, fans were surprised. Could J.Lo really sit behind a desk and give advice to others? But she was more than just a judge. She was a mentor, a role model, and a source of encouragement for millions of young singers. Her warmth, honesty, and iconic fashion choices made her a fan favorite. Ratings soared. And once again, Jennifer had reinvented herself. But she wasn't done. In 2011, she released a new album, Love. The lead single, On the Floor, featuring Pitbull, became one of the biggest hits of her career. It was a global smash, reaching #1 in over 30 countries and becoming one of the best-selling singles of all time. The music video alone gained over 1 billion views on YouTube. She was 42 years old. In an industry that often sidelines women after 30, Jennifer Lopez was dominating the charts again. That same year, she was named People magazine's Most Beautiful Woman in the World. But her personal life was still filled with challenges. In 2011, she and Mark Anthony announced their separation. It was the end of a passionate and artistic partnership, but not the end of her journey. Jennifer focused on co-parenting, staying strong for her kids, and continuing her rise. In 2012, she launched a world tour, Dance Again Tour. It was a celebration of life, love, and strength. On stage, she was fierce, confident, radiant, and offstage, she was handling business deals, raising her children, and managing an empire. By the mid-2000s teens, she had starred in new films like The Boy Next Door, produced and starred in the TV series Shades of Blue, headlined a Las Vegas residency at Planet Hollywood called All I Have, which broke records and earned over $100 million. She had become a billion-dollar brand. And through it all, she remained unapologetically herself. No matter the age, no matter the headlines, no matter the doubters. She danced again. She loved again. She dreamed again. Because that's what Jennifer Lopez does. Super Bowl, stardom, and the strength of a legend. By the late 2010s, Jennifer Lopez had reached a level of stardom that few ever touch. She wasn't just relevant. She was redefining what it means to be a woman over 40 in the entertainment industry, and she wasn't slowing down for anyone. In 2019, she returned to the big screen with one of her boldest roles yet, in the critically acclaimed film Hustlers. Based on a true story, the film followed a group of strippers who turned the tables on Wall Street bankers. Jennifer played Ramona, the smart, seductive, and fiercely powerful leader of the crew. Her performance stunned both fans and critics. She trained for months to learn pole dancing. She performed intense scenes with precision and emotional depth. She showed strength, vulnerability, and charisma, all in one character. Many critics believed she deserved an Oscar nomination. And although the Academy didn't deliver one, Jennifer had already won the respect of Hollywood once again. She was nominated for a Golden Globe. She walked red carpets in couture gowns. And she proved that even at 50, she could own the screen. But she wasn't done making history. In February 2020, Jennifer Lopez took the stage at the Super Bowl 54 halftime show in Miami alongside Shakira. This was more than a concert. It was a cultural statement. Two Latina women on the biggest stage in American television, performing in English and Spanish, dancing with fire, singing with pride, and celebrating their roots. Jennifer's daughter, Emmy, joined her on stage, singing Let's Get Loud, inside a glowing cage that symbolized children in immigration detention centers. The moment went viral. It was bold, political, and unforgettable. That performance was watched by over 100 million people worldwide. It became one of the most viewed halftime shows in history. Jennifer Lopez was no longer just an artist. She had become a voice, a symbol, a statement. And in her personal life, love was in the air again. She had begun a high-profile relationship with Alex Rodriguez, the former baseball superstar known as A-Rod. Together, they were glamorous, powerful, charismatic. They attended every major event together, from the Met Gala to the Oscars. In 2019, Alex proposed with a massive emerald-cut diamond ring. The world waited for the fairy tale wedding. But then the pandemic happened. Their wedding was postponed multiple times. Rumors began to swirl. By 2021, Jennifer and Alex announced their split. It was another heartbreak, but this time the world saw something different. Jennifer Lopez didn't fall apart. She stood up, smiling, graceful, stronger than ever. And then, like a plot twist from one of her own romantic comedies, Ben Affleck came back into the picture. After nearly 20 years, the two were seen together again, vacationing, smiling, holding hands, and the world was obsessed. Was this fate, destiny, a second chance at first love? Whatever it was real. Because in 2022, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck got married in a quiet ceremony in Las Vegas. Later, they held a grand celebration at Ben's estate in Georgia. Jennifer was back, older, wiser, and still in love. And Jennifer, she was still building. In 2022, she starred in Marry Me, a romantic comedy co-starring Owen Wilson and Maluma. She also released the album This Is Me Now, a follow-up to her 2002 album that had been inspired by her love for Ben Affleck. The full circle moment was emotional, nostalgic, and powerful. She also announced a documentary with Netflix, Halftime, that gave fans an intimate look at her journey, her Super Bowl performance, and the hard truths behind the scenes. Once again, she wasn't just entertaining. She was inspiring. Power, purpose, and the woman behind the spotlight. By her early 50s, Jennifer Lopez had become a rare force in entertainment. A woman who had survived every wave, evolved with every era, and thrived in every space: music, film, business, fashion, motherhood, and beyond. But now, in her own words, she wanted to go deeper. It wasn't just about performing anymore. It wasn't just about fame. It was about meaning. In interviews, Jennifer began to speak more openly about her mental and emotional journey. She talked about insecurities, failures, and the fear of being rejected, not just by Hollywood, but by herself. For a long time, she said, I looked for love and validation from others, but real peace came when I learned to love myself. She talked about therapy, about healing childhood wounds, about learning to say no, about setting boundaries, and about raising her daughter, Emmy, to grow up proud, bold, and free. Jennifer also embraced activism more than ever before. She spoke out for Latina representation, for women's rights, for LGBTQ plus inclusion, and for youth empowerment. She visited schools. She donated millions through her foundation. She raised her voice for justice, even when it wasn't easy. In 2022, her documentary Halftime premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival. It wasn't a celebration of her success. It was a raw, intimate look at what it takes to stand alone at the top. It showed her crying in rehearsals, doubting herself before Super Bowl meetings, struggling to be taken seriously even after 3 decades of success. It showed the truth, and it made her human, again. At the same time, she continued releasing music, designing beauty lines, building content studios, producing films, and creating space for women of color to lead in entertainment. She wasn't just starring in stories anymore, she was writing them, directing them, producing them. In 2023, she released The Mother, an action thriller where she played a deadly assassin and a protective mother. It was streamed by millions. She also launched DeLola, a new line of cocktails, because yes, even her drinks had style. Meanwhile, she and Ben Affleck, now husband and wife, were navigating a blended family, public attention, and second chances. They bought a home together. They attended premieres arm in arm. And this time, their love was quiet, mature, real. Behind all the lights and headlines, Jennifer Lopez had become something rare. A woman in full control of her story, a survivor of fame, a mother of twins, a wife, a mogul, and still, Jenny from the block. Because no matter how high she rose, she never forgot where she came from. And that, more than anything else, is what kept her grounded. She is now recognized not only as an artist, but as a global brand, a role model, and a symbol of resilience and reinvention. And yet, when asked if she's done, she always smiles and says, "No way, I'm just getting started." The legacy of Jennifer Lopez, beyond the spotlight. As the curtain gently begins to fall on our journey through the extraordinary life of Jennifer Lopez, there's one truth that rises above all else. She is not just a star. She is a force of culture, a force of ambition, a force of inspiration. Jennifer Lopez's legacy is not defined by just one thing. Not her music alone, nor just her acting, her dancing, her fashion, or even her business ventures. Her legacy is a living tapestry of determination, woven with every risk she took, every stereotype she shattered, and every boundary she refused to accept. Let's take a moment to reflect on the core themes that make her story so powerful, especially for language learners, dreamers, and creators around the world. Redefining beauty and identity. Jennifer Lopez entered an industry that rarely celebrated Latinas in lead roles. In the late 1990s, Hollywood had a rigid image of what a star looked like. Jennifer challenged that, She brought her curves, her Bronx accent, her Spanish heritage, and made them her superpowers. She didn't try to hide where she came from, she amplified it. Whether on a red carpet, in an interview, or on stage, she refused to conform. And by doing so, she created space for millions of others to feel seen and proud. Today, thanks in part to J.Lo, the idea of beauty in Hollywood is broader, richer, and far more diverse. Reinvention as a lifelong strategy. One of Jennifer's most impressive qualities is her ability to evolve. When her music started to fade in the charts, she pivoted. When film roles slowed, she created her own opportunities. When others doubted her, she became her own brand. She went from dancer to singer, from actress to producer, from fashion icon to business mogul. And she did it all while staying authentic. That's a message every learner and dreamer should hear. You don't have to stay in one lane. Reinvention is not a weakness, it's a strategy, a superpower. Love, loss, and the spotlight. Yes, the world often focused on her relationships. From high-profile romances to heartbreaks, Jennifer Lopez lived much of her love life in public. But behind the tabloids was a woman learning, healing, and growing. Her journey through love, sometimes messy, sometimes magical, was always human. She taught us that being vulnerable doesn't make you weak. Being real doesn't make you soft. And she reminded everyone, especially women, that it's okay to want love, to search for it, and still stay strong and independent. Motherhood and balance. Becoming a mother changed her. After giving birth to twins, Max and Emmy, in 2008, Jennifer's perspective shifted. Her children became her anchor, her compass. And still, she continued to work on albums, on films, on tours. She did what many women dream of, balancing career and motherhood. It wasn't easy, it wasn't perfect, but it was honest. She didn't pretend to have all the answers. Instead, she showed that balance is not about perfection, it's about being present. Giving back and lifting others. Jennifer Lopez never forgot her roots. From founding the Lopez Family Foundation to support healthcare access for women and children, to speaking up for Latinx communities, in politics and education, she has used her voice and platform to uplift others. In 2020, during the pandemic, she donated food, masks, and supplies to frontline workers. She marched for justice. She raised money for disaster victims in Puerto Rico. And she continues to mentor young artists, especially women of color trying to break into the industry. Her success was never just for her. It became a bridge for others. The hustle never stops. Even now in her 50s, Jennifer Lopez shows no signs of slowing down. Whether it's a new film, a Las Vegas residency, a beauty line, or a Netflix documentary, she keeps moving, keeps building, keeps dreaming. Why? Because to her, success is not a destination. It's a daily choice, a daily hustle, a daily act of belief in herself. Final reflections. So what can we learn from the life of Jennifer Lopez? That talent is powerful, but it's discipline that carries you. That you can come from humble beginnings and still reach global stages. That even when the world doubts you, you must not doubt yourself. That failure isn't final. That love matters. And that being who you truly are, loud, proud, imperfect, passionate, is the most beautiful thing you can be. Jennifer Lopez's story is still being written. Every step she takes now will inspire a new generation to rise, to dream, and to dance to the beat of their own rhythm. From the Bronx to the Super Bowl, from a fly girl to a global icon, from Jennifer to J.Lo, she showed us the way. And now it's our turn to shine. Thank you so much for joining us on the incredible journey of Jennifer Lopez's life. Which part of her story inspired you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends so they can enjoy it too.